I mean, it says it's live. I don't know if can you check?
How do I check that it's live?
Oh no, it's on. I've got it on my iPad. It seems to be working. Do you both want to just say something, just so I can see if we're both coming through?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. All good.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. How are we all on this fine
Yeah.
Sunday?
Oh, I was about to say we're all coming through, so that's good. Right, I'll just post the link and then we'll make a start.
What are you posting it to? Are you posting it to the Twitter?
Yeah, I'll put it on the Twitter. Yeah.
I'll share it on mine.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm kind of sort of that. Well, my laptop's out of action at the moment. Literally using my phone right now, courtesy of a damaged screen.
Let's see. So is it snowing where you two are?
It was last. That's Friday night. So far, not anymore.
Yeah, down where I am, it's we've had a little bit of sleet and stuff, but it's just been more and rain than anything else.
Right.
Although, yes, I was driving back from Heathrow Airport yesterday, and I was getting blown about a bit. Like,
So you're outside my window at the minute. If you can make that out.
Jesus Christ!
Oh, yeah, I can just see that. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This morning.
my mate were. Oh, where was it? Friday night, we were driving back to White. And it was chucking it down with snow up there. Like,
Right. Looks like everything actually is in order, which makes a change because normally when I stream things, everything goes wrong all at once. So I am ready whenever you two are. We're all good to start.
yeah, nice and comfy. I've got me cold can of Coke Zero.
Cool. Got the tweets out. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So, hello, Days of Horror podcast. Thank you for joining us. We are doing well. I can't speak for these two, but I'm sure they'll answer.
Yeah, doing pretty alright.
Yeah. All good.
Standard lazy Sunday. I can't beat it.
Yeah, sounds about right. So this is our new podcast series. We came up with the idea during lockdown when not a lot of things we were able to kind of like do them. Traveling was kind of off the cards for the most part. Daft Monkey today is our first guest ever on the series. Hopefully the first of many. We're going to start today by just allowing him some time to explain who he is and what he does. So go
Right.
for it.
Yeah. So my real name's Anthony. I'm from Salford. And I started doing sort of the exploring videos maybe like 3 years ago now, 2.5 years ago. Never thought in a million years I'd still be doing it like a few years later. And I never in a million years thought people would even watch it. I was just literally knocking round old factories and buildings, just filming them. There was other urbexers and other people doing stuff like the same thing that I was doing. But I didn't think there was telling the history side of it, which they were just basically running around and filming a building and running off, not really understanding what they were filming. So the sort of angle of my channel was to bring the history to life and revive it and show people and people these places where we went in and filmed. They were like once pivotal to the area. Could have been an abandoned police station, could have been an old pub, an old factory, and I just thought if I film it and then revive the history and tell the story of the building, and the local people, they were the first ones to sort of respect it, and it brought a bit of pride back to the building, if you know what I mean. Well, that's just sort of branched off into loads of different things, like vlogumentaries now, doing stuff based on, like I did the one on Laura, I'm doing one on Fred Dibner now. It's just branched off, and with the channel, I think a lot of people, or certain YouTubers, tend to pigeonhole themselves into just doing one sort of genre, and I'm not scared to branch out into doing a paranormal one or a podcast, or it just keeps evolving and keeps. There's nothing that I won't really do on it, to be honest. Yeah, and that's how it sort of started, and that's the way it's going at the minute.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting actually, because my first question was going to be what made you start YouTube in the first place. So you've already answered that one. But that's really interesting that you say that actually, because from watching your videos, you could tell that is your aim is to revive these places.
Yeah.
And whether that's what you say, what you tell about the area, the history, or whether that's how you edit the videos, it really does come across that way. So you're definitely doing what you set out to do. So that's good.
Yeah.
And the fact that you said that you're not, you are willing to branch out into different things. I think that's really important, because me and Milson are kind of at that stage at the minute where it's like, we don't want to just get ourselves stuck into just one thing.
No, I think it's brilliant that you're branching out into different things, because they open new doors for you,
Definitely.
And if you keep sort of there's nothing wrong with trying something. Do you know what I mean? It's like sometimes you can do, say, a paranormal video, for example, and they don't really go down as well than other things. But I'm not scared to go and put myself in that position, because there's people out there that do like it, and it's just one of them things. Like there's no harm in trying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Milson had a couple of ideas about top places to visit in areas and things like that. It's different to just exploring a building or doing abandoned explorations or anything like that, but it's still within the broad category of travel. So it's just kind of figuring out all those things.
Yeah, so sort of my sort of most recent idea is, rather than us going quite far afield on road trips and stuff, and it sort of having to just trying to think, sort of go. I've sort of realised that we don't actually have to go too far afield and stuff, because when we first started out, what sort of started off our channel and the whole idea for it was me and Jack were going out on random drives just around the local area and stuff, and sort of finding these places. And I think sometimes maybe it's better to go back to our roots a little bit. So maybe sort of promoting maybe local businesses, or there's quite a lot of different places dotted all over Lincolnshire which are hidden treasures.
Yeah.
It'd be quite nice to sort of get out and do a bit more of the sort of factual sort of history stuff on that, and then once in a while do a bigger video and branching out sort of more further afield. I mean, I've been in the fortunate situation with my job where I do get to travel, not so much all over the world, but certain places and stuff where I can actually film and sort of get bits done and whatnot. But yeah,
that's brilliant. I think, like you're saying, I think we sort of forget how much we actually have on our doorstep. Sometimes we think we have to go far and wide to discover something or see something, but you'll be surprised how much is actually within a short space of where you're from. Do you know what I mean? And there's, like you say, there's hidden gems all over the show. But I mean, what? So do you get to go to different places then, as a part of your job type?
Yeah. So as part of me job and stuff, but I'll have to drive all over the country and whatnot. But also, so when was it? The end of May, I got sent down to the Falklands for 4 months for me work and stuff. But because at the time, well, even now it's a green country, I was actually able to sort of get out, explore, speak to locals and stuff.
Yeah.
See a lot of the wild for a small island chain down in the South Atlantic. it's quite a diverse place. There is a phenomenal amount of wildlife even during the winter time. I think one of the highlights of that this time, it's my second time. It was my second time down there. I got to fly out to a place called Volunteer Point and see all the baby king penguins.
Wow.
And then, sort of at the beginning of my time down there, I got the fortunate opportunity to go whale watching. Got to see a couple of humpback whales, and then we had quite a lot of dolphins come up the side of the boat and stuff. I've been in the sort of fortunate position to get down there for no cost whatsoever because of my work. But whereas sort of a lot of people, you sort of everyday sort of person, it does cost a lot to fly down. But it's excuse me, it's definitely a very, very diverse place, weather-wise, unfortunately, and definitely wise. Plus, obviously, you have the history of the Falklands conflict down there, and sort of people sort of focus more on that because of it's what it's unfortunately become sort of known for. But there's an amazing amount of ecosystems down there. It's a rugged, but it's a stunning place to visit.
Wow.
Yeah,
Sounds
amazing.
amazing.
It is. Just going to point out Days of Horror. Your comment. Good thing about what you guys do is visiting old abandoned places as well as just everyday places. You can incorporate loads of stuff, which includes the paranormal. Yeah, that's a very good point. I think one of the first videos we had was at an abandoned church. Not too long after that, we went back to it, and there was a paranormal investigation going on there. I don't know if you remember that, Millicent.
Yeah, I remember that.
Fortunately, we couldn't get any videos of it. We didn't have the stuff with us, but yeah.
I saw the videos you did on that. It was brilliant.
Yeah, that church.
Did you enjoy it? Yeah.
The church.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's just like a couple of minute walk up to it through a field, and it's just surrounded by trees, and then outside of it, nothing else. Like it's its own thing in a field. It's really bizarre, but it's really cool.
Especially at sunset when the fogs usually get like this low-lying mist that comes across the fields, which definitely makes it that little bit more eerie. But in fact, visiting there on one of our drives actually is what kind of inspired us to actually start off our YouTube channel and start sharing these adventures as such. That's sort of where almost where the idea and the concept was actually born.
Yeah. Brilliant.
It's weird the places that people start these things from. So from watching your channel then, Anthony, I've not seen every single one of your videos, but I've seen a fair amount. The one I remember the most that sticks in my mind is the murder of the Moors or something like that with the guy.
Yeah, the Dovestone murders.
The
murder on the Moor. Yeah, that was a completely bizarre story, that, and it still to this day has me scratching my head. It keeps me up at night. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all.
No, I remember watching it at the time and the circumstances around it.
And the strangest thing about all this is an ex-police officer that was working on the case is now retired. He actually contacted me and he said that they suspect heavily that there was foul play involved and he was murdered, but they just couldn't pin it on anyone because they had no proof. But they just said the whole situation, and then the way he was laid, it just didn't add up. And the police officer that messaged me, he said that they know it was someone that did it, but they just couldn't prove it. So that sort of makes me think there could be a part 2 down the line here.
Oh, that'd be brilliant. The long-awaited sequel to that video, yeah. Maybe some closure or a little bit more closure, because there's just no way people. What was it? He went to Pakistan and then came back and.
He went to Pakistan. He was from. I think he was from. Where was he? Somewhere right down south. Originally, and he had like a family and stuff. And then he split up with his wife, and a couple of years later, I think he moved to Pakistan all of a sudden. Lived in Pakistan, lived a very low-key life out there, didn't have many friends, and then all of a sudden he came over back. He'd never had any connection to Saddleworth, and in any connection to that part of England at all. And he came over on the plane. I think he booked 5 nights in a Premier Inn in Manchester, if my memory serves me right, and only stayed for 2. Went to Greenfield, which is in like Saddleworth, and went up on the top of this moor. But he asked this guy for a specific location, and then he wasn't dressed for the weather because it was horrendous, the weather. He just had like normal shoes on, pants, an overcoat, and a carrier bag. And he went up to this place at the top of this rock formation called Indian's Head. It's like shaped like an Indian's Head, like the side profile of an Indian.
Yeah.
And it's called Indian's Head. He goes up there, and then the next day he's found dead, lay with his arms like that, like at peace, with a peaceful look on his face. And they found in his system that he'd been strychnine poisoned. Now, when you have strychnine, your body convulses really aggressively. So you sort of froth at the mouth, you shake, and your body spasms, and you're all distorted, like all your joints are distorted. So there was no way that his body could have been peacefully lay on the side of this mountain. And like I say, the copper that got in touch with me and told me that they suspect someone else was definitely there. It's really doing my head in, because I need to go back up, and I can't. It's not that far from me, and sometimes we take the dog for a walk, and I purposely don't go, because if I start filming and I go that way, it's just going to snowball into something else. And yeah, it's one that's really bugged me, that. But it's interesting at the same time, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, no, definitely interesting. Yeah, the mystery around it is enough to keep someone engaged with it. Days of Horror podcast says, makes you wonder if he'd agreed to meet someone ever there, especially as he wasn't prepared for the weather and the way his body was positioned. I think you talked about that in your video, didn't you? About like you say now, the way his body was positioned and all the circumstances on the day.
Yeah.
But definitely a weird one. But if you are planning on doing an episode 2 to it, then we look forward to seeing that one.
Yeah. I think I will. I just need to be mentally in the right mind frame to go through all that trauma again. Have me scratching night and keeping myself up, thinking, well, what happened here? But yeah, it's something that I could definitely build on, I think.
100%. So from watching your videos, and you just explaining that now, it's pretty clear that you don't just read something, do the video, and then forget about it. You've just recited the whole thing to me there, so it's pretty obvious that you learn these things, you take it in, and then it makes the videos better, and it makes the videos on the channel look more professional. What would you say you did, okay, because obviously the last 18 months have been exceptional circumstances. What would you say was the hardest part, or what did you do to help your channel keep going throughout the pandemic?
So through the pandemic, obviously we were sort of restricted to certain places, but we was allowed to go for walks.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exercise.
Exercise with nobody around. I mean, there's only me on my own. So basically, I focused on places like Dovestones up a mountain on my own. Another one that spawned from that was Bill O'Jack's. That was another murder on the opposite side of the moor. So these are sort of places I can go and film, and I'm away from everybody, if you know what I mean. And it's not in a crowded place. It's not normally like I'll go and film in Manchester, where it's just bustling 24/7. So sticking me on the top of a moor on my own, at the time it was perfect for me. And it just diverses your channel. Like something like what happened with the pandemic, and it's still going on now. Like it sort of it makes you use your brain a little bit different if you want to film, But I mean, if we went back maybe a year, I'd probably have done more stuff like this. doing podcasts. I think that's a great way especially for you guys, if you're not, if you split up quite a bit. Are you living within close proximity of each other, or?
So I'll answer this one. So I'm currently based down in Norfolk. Have been for the past couple of years. So what with my line of work and stuff, I sort of get moved and posted all over the country every so many years. So sort of Jack's always been in the sort of Hull Grimsby area, which is also where I'm from. However, I've sort of over the years and stuff had to because of that moved sort of all over the country as such. So currently I'm about 2 hours away from where Jack is.
Yeah.
But so sometimes, especially like I said, with my line of work, I can go for weeks, if not months on end, where I'm that busy. We can't really get together as such. So we sort of have to make the most of the time that I do get off to do this. Really, that's why. So during the pandemic, that's why we went towards sort of GeoGuessr, doing the sort of game type things.
Yeah.
Of cover what.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's great because stuff like this, where you can still put stuff on your channel even though you are far away from each other. So I'm thinking, like, with if the pandemic ever came again, was completely locked down, I would probably do more of interacting with other YouTubers like this. But yeah, like I say, it was challenging to do, but it makes you use your head in a different way. But ultimately, good videos came out of the pandemic for me. You know, like I say, just throwing me up on a mountain where there was a bit of history. It was like Christmas Day for me in some respects.
And I know what you mean because it seems to be that it makes you, like you say, it makes you use your brain differently. So all of a sudden, all these ideas that you wouldn't have had suddenly come to your mind.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's a good approach, to be fair. But ours, like Milson was saying, we're quite far apart, so ours was kind of just a random moment of time here and there that we can maybe get together, and whether a video comes out of it or not is a different question. But I think we tried to record a couple of weeks ago, but it was too windy, and it weren't the right time. Clearly, it wasn't meant to be.
God, I was out yesterday. I was filming yesterday, and I went up to right through Bolton, right up to the top. It's a place called Turton, and there's a big, massive church up there. And obviously, the storm Arwen's just absolutely running rampage at the minute, and I don't half pick the time, pick the moments to want to go and film something, because my hands were blue. Honestly, it was so cold. And in the end, I had to pack up. My microphone, even with the wind chill microphone on, it just wasn't ready. It was just wind. It just going straight through. So I totally get what you mean with the filming, and it gets ruined by the wind and stuff. You've got to pick the right time of day as well, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely right time of day. Right, I think all the things came against us that day, apart from the rain.
Yeah.
Go on, sorry.
Yeah, the annoying thing was it would have been quite a good day's filming actually, because I was having some time off at the time. I said to Jack, right, I'm going to show you around Norfolk, which is where I've been sort of living and working for the past sort of couple of years. And literally right on my doorstep, you've got this castle that dates back about nearly 1,000 years, and a lot of it, crazily enough, it is still sort of intact. It's literally about a 10-minute drive from where I am. Unfortunately, like Jack said, there was sort of people sort of walking dogs, which wasn't the massive issue. It's more the wind that was sort of getting in the way and stuff. And then, surprisingly, actually, Norfolk it's got quite a few castles sort of dotted around it. You wouldn't sort of think it. Looking to this other one, which name escapes me at the moment. And again, unfortunately for us, the wind came in, the light sort of dropped a little bit, and we got some good pictures out of it. But yeah, the sort of weather sort of ruined it a little bit for us.
Yeah, you don't get much of a say with this country. Okay, right. I don't want to dwell on like the pandemic and all the bad things for too long. So what I'm gonna do is lead it into the next question then. Um, you've got a lot of videos on your channel, as we said. I think I remember one where you was in York. Is that right?
Oh, I did. But that basically was a vlog in York. I was there with my girlfriend and my dad, and his girlfriend, and I thought I love York. You know what I mean? I've been a few times. I've been on a couple of stag do's there, and I just thought, well, when I go, I'll vlog it because there's so many beautiful places to go and film in York. But the unfortunate thing is that I stumbled into too many pubs along the way. And I sort of, by the end of it, it was just like this drunken vlog. And I just thought, I'll put it on. It'll do me no harm. But I tell you what, the next day, I got food poisoned actually. On the last, yeah. And when I look back at it now, if you ever click it or just have a little look at it just for a laugh, I just think of that restaurant it made me ill, honestly. But I was right. I've never had food poisoning before, and it was rotten. Or my stomach was in pieces.
Yeah, I can imagine it was.
Yeah.
So what the main question then around that point, what I've got here is, what would you say? Okay, so you've got York and you're mainly based around the Manchester area. What would you say is the hardest video you've ever had to do, both in terms of the location of it and then the editing afterwards?
Right. The hardest video that I've ever done is one called The Scuttlers. It's based on Manchester's Victorian crime gangs. So they were before the Peaky Blinders. But they were mainly, rather than being gangsters as such, there were more gangs of youths that were these like peacocks, and they had clog shoes with brass tips on. And I covered that, and that was really challenging, not only for people, obviously in Manchester, the places that you need to film it, it's a busy city. So it was hard to film. And then I went back so many times to get certain shots, because I won't just film it in a day. I'll try my best to get as much as I can. But I know it's going to take 2 or 3 trips, because it's just the way I do stuff. I'm really picky and I'm really fussy when it comes to how I want it to look, and I'm never happy with it. Once it's out, I'm never ever happy with it. So it was hard to go and film and keep going back. But then the editing side of it, it was horrific. You name anything that could have gone wrong went wrong with it. And then I think it took me 2 months to actually get it to a point where I thought, right, we're ready to rock and roll here. And then just as I was about to upload it to YouTube, the file just deleted itself and it was gone. And I'd been doing it for 2 months. And I swear to God, I nearly the house. I was like a raging lunatic in the house. I couldn't believe all that hard work had gone. And then luckily, before I threw the computer out the window, my girlfriend stopped me and she said 1 minute, and somehow she found it. Don't know how, but she found it. And that was the most challenging video I've ever done. Not just mentally, physically going to do it as well, because it was so busy in Manchester. But I'm working on something with Days of Horror, and we're going to do a Scuttlers 2. But it took me a whole year to just get over this episode, you know what I mean? Because it was so hard like to go and do. But there's so many stories that I could have put in that video that I left out, because I knew in the back of my mind there'd be a number 2 here, and there could possibly be a number 3. But Days of Horror is very good at research. He's a lot better at researching than me. I will research something and I'll look at it, and Days of Horror, Chris, he just delves in it deeper and deeper and deeper. And he's thinking of doing sort of a similar video himself. He wants to touch on the Scuttlers too. So I thought, he's contacted Manchester Police Museum, and they have all the actual original, photographs of the Scuttlers when they was arrested, like from 1800s, and the charge sheets and everything. So I'm going to be hopefully filming that late December, start of Jan or something.
it seems to be that sometimes, and I think I can relate to this as well, that the hardest videos are always the ones that you end up doing more with, if that makes sense. Like you said, you've got an episode 2, or there could be a third one.
Yeah,
And
I think the hard was sort of narrowing it down to what stories I want in it. Like I say, there were so many things that were really interesting and that fascinated me, and I thought people would love to know about this because it's forgotten history. And I was thinking I could have put this in, could put that in. Anyway, I narrowed it down to about 4 or 5 sort of topics, and it could have gone on forever. So hence why there's going to be a part 2. But I look back at that one now and I think, God, the editing was shocking on it. Do you know, because I've made each sort of year, my editing just sort of gets a bit more better, you know, each year. So when I look back at the early ones, I think, God, pretty embarrassing.
no, I'm exactly the same there, to be honest. When you look back at it and you think, at the time you think, oh, this is really good, and then the time passes and you look back at it and it's not as good as you remember it.
Yeah, I've sort of Jack does the majority of the editing. I sort of do the majority of the driving to locations. So, and I've sort of looked back at a couple of the videos and stuff, and I thought I've almost sort of cringed at, especially the sort of way we sort of present ourselves. At the time, we think, oh yeah, this is brilliant and stuff, and we've left it in, and then I look back, and it's good, but yeah.
There's always room for improvement.
Yeah, always.
Right. So the next question then. Hello in the chat to Radi Kaliko. Thank you for stopping by. Next question. Bit of a it's not really random, but I noticed that in a few of your videos you record you do some videos with your dad.
Yeah.
I think you've got a couple of abandoned ones with him. And then there's one where he's got like a ghost, like an EVP recording in it of a prison cell.
Oh yeah.
What's it like recording with a parent? Because obviously there's certain things that you can say to a friend that you can't say to your dad, and there's certain things you can say to your dad you can't say to a friend. What's it actually like?
It's good. It's good. I work with my dad as well. You see, so
right, okay, so that helps.
Sort of when you work with your dad, it's like and I've worked with him for over about 18 years. So when I work with him, it's like obviously you're in that sort of environment where it's a work banter type atmosphere. So at first, when I first started there, I wouldn't swear. I wouldn't do anything because I thought, oh, it's my dad.
Yeah.
But now it's just like he's obviously my dad, but it's a sort of good balance of friendship as well. So yeah, it's good. I mean, my dad, he's a paranormal expert. My dad, paranormal investigator. So he has like a YouTube, not a YouTube, a Facebook Live, and he'll go to round graveyards and stuff, and that's his sort of hobby. So he's banged into the paranormal. Before I did Daft Monkey, I did a channel with him called the Paradox Club, and I was basically just holding the camera and editing it, like really naively editing it, like it's honestly like a 10-year-old's done it. It's really poor, but so I sort of went round with him to these places, and we'd go and explore abandoned buildings that might have had a murder in there and stuff like that. And to be honest, in the short space of time that we did it, we got so much evidence, like some really good evidence. And it's not like one of these ones where, you know, you see on Most Haunted where you hear a bang and they all run out the building. We wanted answers ourselves, so if there was a bang and we could sort of, you know, we investigate to see what it were. Was it something that could just be explained, you know? Because we wanted answers ourselves. So we actually caught voices that I can't explain, like actual human voices in a building that is locked up and there's nobody in it. It's night time, and you pick up somebody's voice. It's really, I mean, all you can do is say it's paranormal. There's nothing else to it. So every now and then when I get a bit of a dark location or something with a bit of a sinister past, I think my dad comes with me, and he'll do a bit of bit for his channel too. And if he captures something, I'll throw it on the video. I think people will like it, you know. But yeah, it's good because we get on as friends as well as you know, parents. He's sort of like a real good friend as well, so it works.
Yeah, that's always the best kind of like relationship, I suppose. It helps in all the situations. I remember watching a guy on YouTube. Well, I still do watch him actually, and he's got a horror paranormal series. And so I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, you know, ghosts and all this paranormal stuff doesn't exist. So I think what you've got in them videos, even if it is something as brief as like what your dad's got on an EVP, I find it really fascinating. Um, but then there's people out there that'll be like, oh, you know, there's some sort of explanation to it. But in my head, I just cannot think what that explanation is.
Yeah, I totally get you. It's like it's very, how can I put it? Like, I think the paranormal gets a bit of a bad rap because of all the shows that you see where it's dramatized, and you see these paranormal investigators going somewhere, and it's all just for the camera. It's set up and stuff like that. But when you get a genuine case, you can't explain it. And I've been in situations, like I say, where there's no explanation. I mean, we've had a voice reply back to us to our question, and the voice is a total different voice to ours on an EVP playing a room where there's nobody, there's no contamination, and there's no one in the building other than us. So it's just bizarre, it really is. And then after a bit, like, I stopped doing the channel. He sort of went his own way. My dad did the Facebook, went down the Facebook route, and I sort of branched out and did Daft Monkey. And yeah, it's a lot of the places that we went, like I say, kept me up at night. You know, when I can't get my head around something like the Duff Stones Man, it keeps me awake because I like to know what's going on. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I go down the rabbit hole then, and then I'm gone for days looking at things until I can get some sort of answer. So I sort of took a step back from it because I can't explain it, and I suppose that's why it's like the paranormal. It's unexplained, isn't it? So yeah.
Yeah, I remember in this guy's videos that I was talking about, he was saying that it's almost like an addiction, the paranormal stuff, because you can never get an actual answer to it, and you want the actual answer to it, so you keep going and going
Yeah.
and going, and you're never really at this point in time going to get with the technology a proper answer. So like you said yourself, take a step back from it, you know,
Yeah.
clear your mind from it, so you're not awake at night all the time trying to figure out what's going on. I don't think me and Milson have we ever had any paranormal? I know we did the joined in like ghost investigation, but I don't think we've had anything else, have we?
No, I think like I said, we've really had was like that we've actually been to that is known to be haunted was Skidbrook Church. We did do that paranormal investigation in. There was a time that we went in. There was me and Joe, and then Lewis and more of the other guys, and there was bits of mortar and stuff flying past us and whatnot. Like there was only 6 of us there, and we was all stood in the group and stuff. So, I mean, to the average person, there could be an absolute normal about it, quite an old build. But then at the same time, yeah, I reckon there's definitely something in there because, yeah, that's my opinion and stuff.
Yeah, they do say it's apparently one of the most haunted churches in the country. But I guess it just depends on who you ask, I suppose. We've never had anything massive, but then you get people that say they've seen like a monk walking around. It's haunted by a monk, or there's a lady in a white dress that goes about the graveyard and things like that. It's one of them things where I don't want to say I don't believe in it, but I also don't want to be like 100% I do believe in it, because I'm a sort of person that I need to see it for myself to 100% say what I think about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Just keep like an open mind about it, type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on from that then, I was wanting to ask real. Well, I mean, I was gonna say real briefly, but it doesn't have to be. Um, in terms of the future of your channel, then, so we talked a bit about your hardest videos, how you started. What are your overall future plans? Obviously, if it involves like spoiling something you've got planned, then feel free not to talk about it. But just as a general idea, what's your goals?
I think I just want to keep making the videos. Really, I mean, I have no sort of ambition to be like for it. I like the way it's growing. Do you know what I mean? And I know for a fact I could put a lot more time into it. But my job at the minute, because I've changed job roles, it's not allowing me to sort of do that. So I'd love to put a bit more time into it, but I'm not one of these people that is sort of like a fame seeker and wants to be a YouTube star. Not at all. I would sooner that the videos over time become established, if you know what I mean. And a few people, well, I've had especially the ones that are based around history and local history. I've had teachers that have shown the video in classes and stuff. So it's educational purposes has been something that I've never even considered. I just thought people like us sort of watched it. But the fact that people are using some of the videos as actual reference points for history subjects in school, I just think that's if they get something out of that, then brilliant. But like I say, I've got no ambitions to be a Jake Paul having a fight or something, you know. Well, like I have no ambitions for that. I would just like the channel to just keep growing and find its own feet, and I'll always try my best to keep the content as good as possible. So I would sooner take a month and a half, 2 months on creating a real good video than just putting something out because YouTube are like, you haven't put anything on for ages, you're going to lose your subscribers and stuff. You know, I'd sooner, I'm not bothered, I just want it to keep going and let the videos speak for themselves.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think that's very similar to what me and Milson thought during like the pandemic and everything that was going on. We'd rather wait for the best opportunity to record a really good video rather than try and force a video and be like,
Yeah,
oh, I could record me in the car with my dad driving up a hill or something.
yeah.
But we'd rather wait, which is why there's been a big gap on the channel.
Yeah.
But I think it's better that way, like you say yourself. Yeah, definitely.
I'd say quality rather than yeah.
100%, yeah. Because when you put something out that you rush or you're not too happy with and you're thinking I need to do it because people want to see it or blah blah blah, or if something is hot at the minute, so say there's a subject that's really hot and people are filming it and they're getting all the views on it, if you rush something like that, you're just not gonna be satisfied with anything you put out. And I think if you take more time with it and care with it and you develop this sort of beautiful monster and then give it to the people and it goes down well, and it's night and day with quality, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I think the video that Milton was talking about earlier with the when we went to the castle and had the wind. We could have sat there, we could have edited something out of it, because we did get a full video's worth pretty much, but it just wouldn't have been very good. You got the wind in
Yeah.
the background, you got parts that would have had to been edited out because you couldn't hear what we were saying, and then things like
So
that.
Yeah, and then I feel the one that did full on interrupt it actually. Where we was filming, we weren't far from a RAF base, and a couple of jets went over. And normally that'd film it a bit, but on this occasion, I was like, "Yeah, cheers, guys."
Yeah, I think it was one of them cases like you said earlier. Maybe not as bad, but when things can go wrong, they will. I think that's definitely something that happens.
always
It's
the
just,
way.
pardon?
It's always the way, that, isn't
Yeah, it
it?
is. Yeah, 100%. So it's gonna be. You can tell as well before you even get there that it's gonna be. This isn't gonna go so well. Um. Okay, so like a lead up to that question then about the future. Do you have any near future plans? I'm trying not to make you spoil anything that you might not want to talk about. Do you have any near future plans to do anything in other parts of the UK outside of Manchester?
Yeah, I'd love to. A couple, maybe was it about a year ago? I really wanted to get up to Scotland and visit. There's a place at the top of it's sort of detached from Scotland, it's a little island on its own called St Kilda, and I would love to go to St Kilda and film, even though there's no one on it. It's an army base, I think now, but you can actually still go there and visit. And maybe I think you can camp out, but there's limited people that are allowed on it. And basically, I think a couple, what was it, in the 50s or 60s, the islanders vacated it, but the street is still there. There's like these little houses where they used to live, and like there's like a row of cobbles, and basically it was like a little community, like family that lived on there for over 100 years, and they used to survive by eating. I think they could eat, like, obviously they'd fish whatever they could. They used to capture puffin birds and eat them because that's all that was on the island and stuff. But they survived on there in the harshest conditions for so long, and just to actually go to such a remote location like that, totally off grid, and bring a story or a bit of a video to life for how life was for them. I'd love to do that. But like I say, it's pretty tough to get over there. There's only certain times you can go and visit because the sea is really choppy. So I think you have to get to like the Isle of Mull and then get a boat over. But there's only, I think it's like the summertime that you can get there. But that'd be one that I would love to do. Like, if I was to branch out, I'd love to go and do that.
That'd be a really interesting video, because that's part of what I like about your channel, is the way that you bring these things to life out of nothing. Like you just said yourself, it's an island, nobody lives there anymore, but the people that used to live there just lived off of what they could, so they caught puffin birds or something like that. And I think the fact that you could turn that into a full-on story is quite fascinating,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, it takes a lot of imagination and things.
It's totally, because it's such, it's not, how can I put it, it's not populated, and it's sort of like, the film The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio, where it's sort of, obviously not that there's not a beach there, but it's like untouched paradise. So the sea's really clear, the grass is vibrant green, it's just untouched by man. We haven't ruined it yet, so I would love to go and maybe spend a couple of days just camping out there, and the shots that I could get would be unbelievable. And I know I could do something really good with it, so maybe it's something for next year that I could plan out, but I'd need a good slot, maybe a 2-week slot, where the weather would have to be as nice as it could possibly be for Scotland.
Yeah, it's a pretty small window to get good weather, especially that far north in Scotland as well, on a little island. But
yeah,
I hope it comes around for you, because that sounds like it'd be a good video, that one. Yeah.
Wow, I'd love it, honestly.
Right, I think we've nearly got. Yeah, okay, so it looks like it's the last question. Okay. Oh, in fact, actually, before that, Milson had a question about editing. Do you want to ask the question, Milson?
Oh God, I'm just trying to remember what the actual question was. Actually, my mind's gone blank. You put me on the spot there now, Jack. Yeah, I can't remember what. However, I'd just like to put in this stuff. Like, obviously, your videos, Anthony, are very, very inspiring. The one thing I've noticed over the past few years, especially in that, a lot of local history, especially, is it's in the sense being forgotten about. It's dying out and stuff. And when people think of history, they think of ancient history stuff like that, and so it's quite inspiring to see that you try to bring back local history and try to as such remind people of it and share it with the rest of the YouTube community as well as everyone else and stuff. I think we focus on the older stuff, not so much the older stuff. I'm getting my words mixed up. We focus on we don't focus on British history as such anymore, especially like in schools and stuff. It's taught less than that, and I think it inspired me a little bit to go, well, you know what? How about sort of me and Jack sort of do more sort of local history around the sort of Lincolnshire area and stuff? Because the place driving with it, not many people know all this, so it'd be quite nice to sort of get out there and sort of again like what you're doing yourself. Sort of. Well,
Yeah. Thanks for that. I honestly appreciate it. Like you say, you know, you'd be surprised what's on your doorstep. There's so much history just on your doorstep within your city, within a small like radius of where you're from. And as soon as you start scratching the surface and digging into it, it then becomes really interesting. And the thing is with me is, like I said it the other week, when I was at school, I wasn't very good at school and I didn't like history. I basically, when I was in school, it was just, you know, you spoke about the Romans and you did the Egyptians and the Tudors and God, you know what I mean? We did topics such as that, and we was never told about where we were from, and what it was like the history of your own city. And I think a lot of people, especially these days, kids don't have much respect for the surroundings, especially like growing up in Salford. Me being one of them when I was a kid, I didn't know anything about where I come from, the history of it. And I think when you start to respect your area and know things about it, I think you then, I mean, sorry, I think when you learn about your history, you'll have more respect for your area. And I think that's the problem with society today. In certain places, like people don't really have much respect for their area because they don't know anything about it. And that's why local history should be more taught in schools, because it gives kids a better sense of the surroundings. And if they knew half of the stuff that they should know, then they wouldn't go and vandalise beautiful buildings that have stood the test of time, set things on fire. 200-year-old house that might have been a famous artist's house, you know, stuff like that. And I just think if we're educated a bit more, then we'd have more respect for things. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with both of you there actually about local history, because like you were both saying, history tends to be taught on a much bigger scale. You know, like Victorian England, Roman Empire, you know, World War. There's never anything that's like the history of the area that you're in. And I think it'd be really
No.
good to see schools or wherever teach kids about, like you say, the area that they're in. A module maybe in a history class, in a history lesson, a module that has to be about the local area that school is based in. I think that'd be a really good idea actually. Yeah.
I think like we touched on things in school about Manchester, but when you take Manchester back in the Industrial Revolution, it was the powerhouse. So Manchester, are you there?
Oh, I think we've just lost Milton.
Lost him. He's
Yeah,
somewhere.
can you still hear me? Yeah.
But yeah, I can still hear you. And I think with the Industrial Revolution, it was the powerhouse. It was the epicenter of the world. It produced all the cotton. It had all these mills that just constantly manufactured 24/7. And when you delve into that and the history, it's unbelievable. And when you see these buildings today, they're still there, or they've been knocked down, or they're converted into apartment blocks. They're built by the guys that built them. They over-engineered everything. Because it was the Victorian way, you know, they did things proper and built things to last, and you know they all have stories, these places, and I just think it should be taught a bit more in school, if you know what I mean.
yeah, sorry about that. Sorry to jump in and out. I do apologise. I lost connection for about 30 seconds there. Everything froze.
That's alright, don't worry about it. It messed up the camera a little bit, but that's fine. We're all back as we were. Right at the end as well. Anyway, so before we sign off for the podcast, I've got one quick fire question. You've already answered it kind of, so I'm going to rephrase it a little bit. So, outside of the UK, okay, so you said you'd really love to do a video in the north of Scotland. So outside of the UK, if someone were to give you right now unlimited money and all the best recording equipment that you'd ever need. You had all the time you needed as well. Where in the world would you love to do a video on?
Wow, that's a good question. I'd have to keep it Manchester based, wouldn't I?
You have to keep
I'd
it.
have to do. I'd have to do the city proud and revive something mega in Manchester. I would pump all the money into maybe. I don't know. I mean, I would love to do something on a massive scale. Do you know? Say for example, the Scuttlers I was on about before. If you could bring that to life on a big, massive scale, on a production scale, it would be unbelievable. Because there's so many stories that just branch off from it. There's so many tales, there's so many reports, and I've got this thing, mate. I don't know what it is, but there's something. Whether I've been reincarnated and I was a Victorian in my past life or something, I don't know. But I have some sort of connection to that era, and when I'm walking around these places in Manchester, I can almost feel the history there, or I can feel what's gone on there, and I would love to sort of, if I could do something mega on a big massive scale, it'd be to do a production possibly of the Scuttlers. It'd be unbelievable because they're all factual things that went on, and when you're reading them, you think that never happened. That surely couldn't have happened, and it did. It's not just the tales of how wicked these gangs were; it was the punishment that they got. And people were sort of, back then they were hung, and kids were threw in prisons were men, and the area was a totally overpopulated slum. So it's like the Oliver Twist sort of type of, it would have looked similar to sort of like the Oliver Twist. Another thing that I would love to do, I would love to do something on Jack the Ripper.
Oh,
I think
that'd be really cool. Yeah.
I would love to do Jack the Ripper and tell the story of that, and maybe not so much going to. I would like to go to the spots now where the people were found. Obviously a lot of the parts of them areas have changed now, but I would love to find the actual locations, and I don't know, just do something with that. But the Jack the Ripper story's always fascinated me.
Yeah, no, it's a really interesting one, given what he did and the circumstances and everything around it. It kind of fascinates me as well. As there's a video game I used to play where there was like an add-on or whatever you call them, about Jack the Ripper, but the game was set during the time, so you were somebody that was like trying to investigate the murders and all that, and it was a really cool twist on it.
Yeah.
I think I really like those answers actually, because I said you had all the money, you had all the time in the world, and you still, after talking about keeping things local, and you still chose Manchester. So that's a respectable answer.
I think I'd get stoned if I didn't say that. If anyone saw me in the street, they'd say, "Why didn't you say Manchester? Can't believe you said Liverpool." I mean, what's the plan for you guys? Sorry, then, are you gonna? Is this something that you wanted to keep doing? Did you want to keep having a podcast going with different people on? Is it something that you're planning on working on?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely an ongoing thing. And to be honest, it's not really something that we've been planning for a while. I remember just having the idea one day, like thinking, hang on a second, we've been during lockdown, we've not been able to do much travelling. So why not do something? Like Milton said earlier, we went into the gaming side of things, travel-related games and things like that to keep us going. But then I was thinking, even after watching podcasts myself, thinking, hang on a second, how hard are these to actually set up and do? And then after a bit of looking into it, it's only the people that can afford it and have got the time and have got the audience and all that, with millions of subscribers, that sit there in like a studio area and get like a really high-end looking feel to the whole thing. But really all you need is what we have now, video call and 3 webcams. So and on his phone, so he's got everything in one there.
So what kind of podcasts are you watching at the minute then? Do you watch anyone in particular? Or?
Do you know of a YouTuber called GeoWizard?
Geo Wizard, no.
No, he's another traveling channel. He plays a lot of GeoGuessr as well. And he's got a few videos. He's got a series where he straight line walks across countries. So he'll pick a point, like the narrowest part of a country, and he'll see if he can walk it all. And no matter what's in his way, unless it's something that could kill him, he'll do it. And
Right.
he's attempted Wales, Scotland, and he's done Norway as well. Of the three of them, he's only succeeded in Norway. Oh, I think we lost Millicent again. Are you back, Millicent?
Well, so he's actually done it as well.
So he's done the Norway one, and it was 3 episodes long. They're about 45 minutes each, and his straight line took him through this like bogland area, like marshy, and it wasn't really anything massive. It was literally like he had his goal was not to go 30 meters off the line that he had on his GPS. So the further away from his line he got, the more like the further his overall medals went down, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And he was determined to do it, so he went straight through this marshland, and it come up to his waist, and he couldn't move. And he said that he said he was panicking, and then he remembered something he watched in a documentary about how to get out of that situation, which helped him. And he went onto a podcast afterwards and talked about it all. So I was watching that, and I thought it was really interesting to have just talk about people's travels and their experiences in different places. And that's where it kind of came from, yeah. So it's definitely something we want to get more people involved with. Obviously, if they're willing to, and I think it's a good way to, while we are apart, to get videos and stuff that's relevant.
Yeah. I think Thingy as well. Days of Horror Chris. He'd be great as a person to have on. He's written some books and stuff, and he's a great. He does similar stuff to me, but he's very good at presenting things and stuff like that. But he's if I ever did anything sort of podcasting, I'd probably have him on as well as you guys, obviously. But yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, I mean, we're more than happy to if you want to DM us or send us a message, if contact you, anything like that, just get people sorted out. I mean, if you start your own podcast, we'll be more than happy to come on into an episode or anything like that. Yeah, because I remember you were one of the first ones ever actually to ask us a question in our first Q&A we did, I think.
I remember that, yeah.
That was in Skidbrook Church when we filmed that. Millicent, do you remember that one?
Yeah, I remember with thinking we'd been filming it, it turns out the camera had got nothing.
Yeah.
Did someone getting pied in the face with that? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Yeah, so we did 100 subscribers challenge, and we had to ask each other questions, and we all got pied and stuff.
That was in the local park, just about 5 minutes from my house. That.
People, you like what? Just imagining you all have like pies on your face, and then people like, why have these lads got pie all over him?
Nothing happened in those trees. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Right, I'm just gonna have a quick read of the chat because I missed a few messages. So Days of Horror said about I think he's talking about the local history, buildings built to last, but now they're being knocked down for new developments, and some of them are truly awful looking. So what do we think about that one?
Yeah, totally agree with him. Sorry, how do I get the chat up in this room? I can't see the chat. Or is it just?
Are you on full screen?
I've got full screen, but I've got like 2 cameras and one at the bottom.
Oh, this is a chat that comes up on YouTube. It'll come up on the YouTube live stream.
Oh, right, no way. I think a lot of the buildings, especially in Manchester, the ones that they're throwing up now, they're just glass monstrosities. They're just made to look so futuristic, and I think if there was ever an earthquake, God forbid, I don't think they'd last long. And these buildings that were built back in the day, they've been through wars and everything, and they were built right, like the Victorians, how they used to build stuff. So I just think it just always looks odd to me when you see, like, say, an industrial city, like, say, Manchester or Sheffield, and then there's this big skyscraper made of glass in the middle of them, and I just think they could have at least incorporated some of the brickwork or something, But that's just my opinion on it. But yeah, I don't think too much of them, to be honest.
No, yeah, I agree. I don't know if you've seen in the news about in Paris they're trying to put in plans for like this giant triangular shaped skyscraper not too far from the Eiffel Tower, and it's taller
But
than the Eiffel Tower as well. And it said in the article like all the people are in an outrage and things like that. And to be honest, I don't blame them. When you've got,
yeah,
especially somewhere
Yeah,
like Paris, when you've got all that history, and then you're just gonna whack this glass triangular like thing right next to the historical part of the city. You know, it's
yeah.
kind of a bit.
It's just there's no consideration for its history or its past, is it? It's just like boom, there you go.
Yeah, yeah, have that.
Yeah,
like, don't get me wrong, moving forward, they don't wipe out the process. It's like there's a lot of, even in Grimsby, there's quite a few historical buildings. The ice house on the docks, which is part of our sort of fishing heritage as such, it's been left to go derelict for so long, and it's like they're still trying to work out what to do with it. What yeah, well, I think one of the ideas is to turn it into a theatre, but I'm hoping if they do decide to do something like that with it, that they keep the original structure and keep it and don't alter it too much.
mm. Yeah. I think the what's it called? I'm under no misconception that things don't last forever. So I know some of these buildings that they do pull down obviously do need to be pulled down, but I think before they get to that state of dereliction, they should have been saved, or at least modified to keep certain parts of the building and build around it. Rather than flatten it, bump, and then throw something up. Just doesn't fit with the area.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I think where is it? So sort of more of the sort of local cities to us, Lincoln. They've put the sort of modern, but they've kept a lot of the old stuff, especially going up Steeple. They've kept a lot of the old buildings that date back to the sort of 1600s as such, which is what it's one of the things that I like about it for sort of like a local city. The way they've left it and stuff, and the way they've sort of, yes, they've done development, but they've kept a lot of the old stuff, original old stuff there. That's the way sort of a lot of cities, in my opinion, should sort of go.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I think if you look across a lot of cities, I think York's another good example. But then going further outside the UK, somewhere like Italy, it's incredible how much their cities haven't changed in like
Good.
hundreds of years. They leave their cities and they plan around it rather than just knocking it all down and putting like a identical houses across the whole area. Like there's people there in 2021. There's people there in places like Venice or Florence that are still living and working and existing around all this history that goes back 500-600 years. And it goes to show that you don't need to just knock it down just to make somebody happy. I think that is all for the questions. Oh, actually, Milson, I do remember what he was going to ask. Milson was going to ask, what kind of software do you use for your videos?
I use iMovie.
Oh, 1 minute. I think is that the one? Has it got like a purple icon?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
dead basic, really simple. Um, I've got what's it called though? I keep meaning to go and use what's the other one that is it Final Cut Pro? That's like
Yes, yeah.
they use that on adverts and stuff or other editing, like bigger editing productions. They use that sort of thing. But at the minute, I just use iMovie because it just for simplicity, and I know my way around it. But it does the job.
Yeah, no, we use that as well. And we did originally have Sony Vegas. I remember there was like do you know what Humble Bundle is?
No.
It's like this website. It's normally a gaming website where they do like sales, but sometimes they do it on software. And one of their sales was like Sony Vegas for 30 quid. It was like 90% off. And
Right.
what it is that you donate like a certain amount of money and that goes to charity. That's why they can get it for so cheap because it's for charity.
Wow, that's amazing, isn't it?
Sony, it is a really good idea actually. Yeah, Sony Vegas was part of it, and we tried to. I don't know if you've ever seen or tried to use Sony Vegas, but it's like this really professional editing software, and there's so much stuff you can do in it, like loads and loads and loads of stuff. It takes you hours and hours, days, weeks maybe to learn all of it, and
Wow.
we kind of just took a step back from that because, like say, iMovie is just simple, but it could still get the
Yeah,
message across.
exactly. It does the same thing, really, doesn't it? But
Yeah.
it's just at first when I started using it, it was I couldn't get my head around certain things. But then once you sort of just keep messing about with it, it's pretty simple to use.
Yeah, definitely. You get it on, like you get it on your phone, get it on your iPad, get it on wherever. Whereas Sony Vegas, it's kind of you've got to be on your computer, and
Yeah.
good job I didn't pay the full price because I think it's like 300, 400 quid if you buy it full price.
Yeah, let's
Yeah. Let's avoid that. Yeah.
go subject.
Right. Okay. That is the end of the video. So thank you for it's much appreciated for you being here as our first guest.
No problem.
The series wouldn't have started, wouldn't have existed if we didn't all sort this out and if you didn't agree to this. So thank you, Milson, as well, for
Yeah,
coming in short notice. Um,
yeah, it's my pleasure.
yeah. Any last words? Like you're gonna die now, but anything else you want to say before it ends?
I want to say thank you for having me on. It was an honour to come on your first podcast, and I love what you do on your YouTube channel. And apologies for a bit. It's great to actually get to speak to you, sort of, even if it is virtual. But yeah, if you're ever in the area, or you're ever in Manchester or around my neck of the woods, we could meet up and do something together. But thanks for having me on. It was honestly, I appreciate you reaching out and asking me to come on it, as your first guest. So I hope you go from strength to strength with your channel too, because you've got some great ideas, and I think your channel will really do well. So thanks for having me on.
Not a problem, not a problem. More than happy to have, like I said earlier, you were the first one to ask us a question on our 50 subscriber Q&A, and now you're the first one to be on our
Yeah.
podcast series. So history repeats itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's much appreciated, and
No worries.
hopefully we can get a guest for the second episode. You said Days of Horror, did you say?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'd do that. I mean, he's a great guy as well. Like very easy going, easy to talk to, and like I say, if you listen to his podcast, he does a podcast, and it's like like an audio book type thing podcast. They're amazing. They're really good. And his videos are brilliant too. So yeah, if there's anyone that I think you might enjoy, I'll always suggest them to you. So you've got plenty of content there.
Thank you. It is appreciated. So yeah, that is it for today. We've covered some things, or quite a few things. Days of Horror says, thanks a lot, guys. Some interesting stuff talked about there. Yeah, definitely talked a bit about history, geography, YouTube as a whole, a bit about the pandemic, how we all coped. So it's just been a nice conversation, to be fair. I was kind of hoping that it wasn't going to come across as too formal, but I don't think it has.
No.
So that's always good. This will be uploaded at a later date, maybe in the next few days, to the channel, so people can watch it back whenever they want. So if they miss the stream, it'll be there for everybody else. Be sure to check out Daft Monkey's channel, because like we've been talking about, he's got a load of amazing videos on there, especially if you're from the Manchester area. Make sure you get those videos watched, all of them, every single one. And you have a Facebook page as well, right?
Yeah, it's just Daft Monkey. If you just type it in, you'll see the little logo, and it's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. I'm not on TikTok yet. I keep getting nagged at to go on TikTok, but I'm not on it.
Not yet, but is that something you're gonna do, or?
Yeah, it's something I'm going to do. Yeah, it's just that I don't know whether I want to do it or not. But my girlfriend's nagging me, saying you need to get on it. Like it's something you need to do. So yeah, I'll be on TikTok soon, but I've not actually got an account on there yet.
Cool, no worries. So what we'll do is we'll put links in the description of the video when the video goes live on YouTube to your channel and everything like that. And just one last time, thank you for being our first guest. It's appreciated.
No worries.
And
Pleasure's mine. Thank you.
hopefully in the future maybe one day we'll get a video together or talk again or something like that. But who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, it's definitely a good idea and stuff. I'm pretty sure I can. Well, I'd be more than happy to make time for that and stuff. Yeah, thank you.
No worries. Great to meet you both as well.
Yeah, great to meet you, mate.
Right, thanks for sticking around Days of Horror in the chat, and it's appreciated. We will see you guys hopefully in episode 2. Not sure when it is, when that'll be yet, because we don't have a schedule or anything planned. We just wanted to get this first one out of the way. But we will see you all then. Bye bye from me.
Yeah, and bye from myself. Yeah.
Great stuff. Thanks for having me, lads.
Yeah, no worries.